Hey, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Chris. We're the hosts of True Believers, a comic book podcast, our weekly show about all things comics.
Welcome to our 7th episode. In episode 6, we discussed the young adult graphic novel Teen Titans Raven, which was amazing. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about the master of Kung Fu, which is Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi is a Marvel Comics character conceived as an unparalleled hand-to-hand fighter and the greatest living master of Kung Fu. Marvel Comics sought to capitalize on the early 70s Kung Fu craze that rose in the United States as a response to the massive commercial success of martial arts movies coming out of Hong Kong. And as such, they attempted to get the license to make comic books based on the show Kung Fu starring David Carradine, but were unable to because Kung Fu was owned by Warner Communications, which owns DC Comics. Now, Shang-Chi is loosely based on the lead character of Kung Fu, Kwai Chang Caine, the orphan son of an American man and a Chinese woman who was raised in a monastery and trained to become a Shaolin master. Shows about him going to America in search of his half-brother and stopping in various places, using his Kung Fu skills to help people with their troubles. It's like a Western, but with Kung Fu. Andrew, have you ever seen the show Kung Fu?
No, but I do know everything in the 70s specifically was about Asian people was very, very racist. So I can only imagine how bad this one was.
Okay. So I actually know a lot about the show Kung Fu because I've watched I don't want to say most of it. I've watched like most of the first season.
You watched it?
Yeah, I've seen it before because I was obsessed with the movie Kill Bill. Well, I was obsessed with Kill Bill Volume 2, and I had never heard of David Carradine before until I was watching it once in high school, and my dad is like walks up and he's like, "Oh, Kung Fu," and I was like, yeah, I guess I don't know if they're doing Kung Fu. I don't know anything about martial arts. And then he's like, no, that's the guy from Kung Fu. And we had this whole back and forth where he explains to me that this white man in yellow face played a half Asian, half white character who was living. My dad, like most black men his age, and honestly, most black men who become dads, they're obsessed with like Westerns and martial arts movies. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, it's like a Western, but they're doing Kung Fu and he's just going around. And I don't really think he knew Kung Fu. Like, he was talking so much noise about it that I eventually, like years later, I've never forgot about it. And when I was laid off at the beginning of the pandemic, I actually started watching it. I didn't pay or anything, so like you can't get mad at me. But when I tell you it is, I don't even know how to tell you that it's racist, but it is. And like, he's constantly making this face where it's like, this is my I'm Asian face. And then like, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I really don't know what else to say to you about this show. Shang-Chi, like Kwai Chang Caine, is half white and half Chinese. His dad is his dad and his mom is like a white American lady. The fact that the show Kung Fu is very racist, it sets the tone for the rest of this episode because everything's going to be really racist.
I mean, this was a character created in the 70s by Marvel, and it
is a product of its time.
Exactly. That's a good way to say it. Yes. Because this was because they made this because of the whole Kung Fu craze that was happening in the 70s and 80s, which in itself was kind of racist, a lot of it, you know what I mean?
What was racist? It wasn't like the Kung Fu craze itself was racist, like it's because the movies were coming from like Hong Kong, like the Hong Kong cinema. That's really cool. Don't get me wrong. I love a lot of those movies, but what happened in America as a result of this, that was the racist part.
Yeah, because you know what happens when you Americanize something else? It just becomes really racist, right? All the time. And that's exactly what happened with Shang-Chi and the Kung Fu show.
Shang-Chi's first appearance was in Special Marvel Edition number 15 in 1973, but he would go on to star in his own title, Master of Kung Fu, until it was canceled in 1983. And these Special Marvel Editions, basically, they're like extended previews. So people were like, for people to like write in or like express interest in something, and they're like, okay, well, I guess now it's going to be a comic. The people said. Along with being the world's greatest living Kung Fu master, a master of mental and emotional discipline, and exceptionally skilled with various weapons, Shang-Chi is the son of the diabolical criminal mastermind Dr. Fu Manchu, a character who was licensed by Marvel Comics but created by English author Sax Rohmer, who featured the character in more than 10 novels that were filled to the brim with some of the most vile bigotry and xenophobia, which is the fear of Chinese people, I've ever seen in my life. It's disgustingly racist, and the storytelling relies heavily on yellow peril, which is the fear of East Asian people as a threat to the established white Western world. Andrew, you did not know about Fu Manchu before researching for this episode, did you?
I wasn't really familiar with Shang-Chi as a character at all, so no.
No, I mean the Fu Manchu thing, it exceeds Shang-Chi. It's all, when I tell you, when you said everything from the 70s and 80s was really racist, would I tell you, if you Google Fu Manchu right now, you will find movies, you will find art, you will find, like, it's in the zeitgeist, and it's just never gone away.
It's so crazy.
And then what's crazy is that it's not even like, you know, when some people do things that are racist and it's like because they don't know, and well, I mean, it's still racist, but it's like, you're just like, okay, and then you can move on. I was reading the Wikipedia page for the Fu Manchu books by the author guy, and he literally said that the reason why he got the idea for these books was because he asked a Ouija board how he was going to make his fortune, and it spelled out ChinaMan.
Chinaman?
Yeah, and that's a slur against Asian people. So, yeah.
Christian, that's so bad.
That was on the Wikipedia page, and I was like, "What?" And then I don't know how true that is, because, you know, people. I believe that Wikipedia is awesome, and it's really hard to edit a Wikipedia article, so I believe most of the stuff in there is valid. But also, I was unwilling to look up anything else about this man after finding that out.
I believe it, though. That's the worst part. Is like right off the bat, I totally believe that he named the character plausible. Fu Manchu. Like, come on.
First of all, I don't even think that's a real name. I think that's like being named Cho Chang or something, where he was just like, sounds Asian, and then moved on.
I think that's exactly, from what we've learned about this, I think that's probably exactly what happened. I just kind of imagine like an archaic form of Google, and he just types in like China words, and then he sees Fu Manchu, and he's like, oh, that's the name we're using.
It's funny that you would say that, and I will talk about exactly why later. Although he's the son of Fu Manchu, and Shang-Chi grew up unaware of his father's crimes, believing his father to be an honorable and righteous man. So because of this, when he was like 19 or 20, he went willingly on an assignment from his father to assassinate one of his father's enemies, assuming that they were evil. Andrew, I know you have been waiting. You've been waiting to talk about this for a fucking hot minute.
Okay, so I wasn't too familiar with the character of Shang-Chi before this, but when I started reading up on him, I actually really liked him. You know, I remember.
No, it's dope. Except for the racism.
Except for the racist part. But once you get past that part, he becomes like his own character that's really good, right? When Shang-Chi was growing up, his dad basically was like, we're going to teach you to be like a great martial art fighter, right? Everything. Like they taught him how to meditate and whatever, which I've always, why is it every time that you have an Asian character, they always want to know how to meditate and like, you know what I mean?
Well, I would like to say that it's because meditation is incredibly fulfilling and can be helpful towards your general mental state. I don't know. I feel like that's the only thing that they vaguely know about Asian people. They were like, Asian people meditate. I don't think most people meditate now. I
think people meditate, but I feel like at the time they were like, all we know is Asian people meditate and they focus on their chi.
Now, what is chi? Could they tell you?
No, nobody can tell you what your chi is. They're like, okay, there's chakra, there's chi, and Asian people love it. I think that's all that they knew about Asian people.
The only thought that went into this.
Yeah. So, as such, Shang-Chi has a lot of chi, you know? And he meditates and whatever. He's a great martial art fighter. That's what his dad spends his whole life teaching him. And like you said, when he was on 19, he was sent to go kill one of his father's enemies. And, you know, he thinks his dad's a good dude, you know? He's grown up with this guy. He thinks he's a good guy. So he goes to go kill his enemy, who is Dr. How do you say it?
It's Petrie. These are all characters that are from the Sax Rohmer books, which is why a lot of Shang-Chi's early adventures have not been or can't be reprinted because they're all like licensed to the books or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I want you guys to all know that he's not only sent to assassinate this man, he kills him. He kills this old man in bed.
Yeah, he straight up just kills him dead. And then
dead as hell.
Dead as hell. Afterwards, though, he meets a character named Dennis Nayland Smith, and he just goes by Smith for short. And he's a British operative. So this man, Smith, basically shows Shang-Chi, everything his father's been doing, because his father is a criminal mastermind.
He spilled the tea.
Everything. Because he's been alive for hundreds of years. Like, he took a potion or some kind of elixir that elongated his life so he just doesn't die. Crazy stuff. So Smith tells him everything. So, Shang-Chi's a good guy. So he kind of was like, okay, my dad's evil. I can't be working for an evil man, you know what I mean? So he teams up with Smith, and Smith is the leader of MI6, which is a British secret intelligence service, if you didn't know that, because I didn't know that, and Christian kind of...
And then the fact that you had the nerve to say it was M16, I was like, what? I was like, what's M16? Where is that?
Like a fucking airplane, right?
I don't know. I don't know shit about planes.
Yeah, I know, because remember you kept calling B-15 an airplane.
I kept calling it B-52, and a B-52 is a plane.
That's what it was. You're like a Boeing B-52, love her. So, where was I? So Smith was, he joined Smith and
well, he won't join.
6.
He's like, I'm gonna team up with y'all, but I'm not joining.
He joined, kind of. Yeah, like you said, I guess. He doesn't really join because he doesn't ever want to be a part. He doesn't want a crew like that. His dad's crew's bad. I'm just saying. So, he works with MI6, and they work to take down his father, And, yeah, after they stop his father, though, because he kills his dad. He's like, all right, so now that my dad's dead, I guess I don't need you guys anymore. And he kind of dips out. But while he was there, he met some other members of MI6, like Black Jack Tar and Clive Reston, who become pretty significant characters in his story. They become friends with him. Even though they didn't like him at first, they become friends with him.
Also, his name is I think it's funny that his name is just Jack Tar, and they call him Black Jack Tar. So I had to do some more research because I was like, let me make sure this character is not black because I would not put it past them.
That would have been.
But they call him Black Jack, and his name is Tar. It's Jack Tar. I don't
think he had a reason for it, didn't he? I can't quite remember.
I don't remember if it's for gambling or just because his last name is Tar. But either way, he wasn't black, so I was excited.
Yeah, but, he becomes one of Shang-Chi's really good friends, along with Clive Reston. He meets another secret agent there whose name is Li Ku Wu, and he gets feelings for her later on.
That's his girl.
Yeah, that's his girl, I think it should also be said, though, because remember how this is really racist? So, obviously, Li Ku is the only other, Asian person there. So, of course, that's his love interest, because that's all they know how to do.
But you know what? Sometimes that's okay. Because if I had watched Daria and Jody and what's his name were not together, I would be upset. I'd be like, okay, y'all hate black love? On one hand, don't feel like you need to pair the only two people of color off together because they're the same color. But on the other hand,
sometimes it makes sense.
Exactly.
So,
it depends on how sexy they are.
I think this one was one of the times, though, where it was just, that's the only other Asian character we have, so we had to do it. It's the only way this makes sense. The 70s were a different time. Not a good time, but a different time. So anyways, so he moves on from, he has his little love interest with Li Ku now, but he's moved on from MI6. He doesn't want to be a part of him anymore. He's not trying to join any gang like that, you know what I mean? So
I love how you said he's not trying to join any gang, because when I tell you this man has been on every superhero team, he's had every superhero team up you could find. He's teamed up with Falcon, with Spider-Man, Moon Knight, the X-Men, Daredevil. He is part of the Heroes for Hire. Is he in the Marvel Knights?
Yeah, he's in the Marvel Knights for a little bit.
Really,
yeah.
This MF just joined Agents of Atlas.
He keeps joining different groups, and then even after because Heroes for Hire is disbanded at one point, but then he comes back and he's he doesn't recreate it, but he's one of the new founding members of Heroes for Hire again. It's ridiculous, but this man doesn't want to join anything. He has commitment issues, you know what I mean?
It's every time I think about him and this not joining team stuff, because when I tell you I've never known a lot about this character except that I was everything in his history is probably vaguely racist, and then I just mentally moved on. But I see him in the background of everything, so I've seen a lot, but not enough to know that he was the son of Fu Manchu, because that threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that.
Before we did all the research on him, I've always seen him in the background of other things, like, and he shows up randomly. So I knew who he was, but I didn't really know much about him. And come to find out, just because he like pops in and out of groups all the time.
Literally, okay, hold on. I think the Heroes of for Hire, when they broke up the last time, I'm pretty sure it's because Shang-Chi's dad actually shows up again. Like, this
Yeah.
man won't die.
Yeah.
And
So
that
like
makes sense.
every other Marvel villain, this man just doesn't die. So that's basically what Shung's whole main villain is his dad just keeps coming back to life. Like,
The villain is your dad. What are you, Aquaman?
and then you kill him too, and you kill him again, and you kill him again. This man will not stay dead.
Who are
And
you, Cassandra Cain?
exactly. And it's never like a good solid reasoning either. Like, every time he comes back, it's usually something completely fucking different. And it's like, just let this man stay dead. Shung is just trying to be happy, you know what I mean?
Like, and he literally tries to be happy so many times. Like, he's like, okay, I'm gonna settle down with my girl, and it doesn't work out.
It didn't work out because Shung, when your evil dad keeps coming back to life, you kind of have a
Evil
little bit
daddy.
of daddy issues, so he's not always emotionally ready. So
Emotionally
that's
ready.
kind of,
Don't try it. Like, no. And then
this
wait,
man has daddy issues, severe daddy issues.
the worst part about this is that he has other love interests. When they reformed the Heroes for Hire during Civil War, he got a new love interest,
Oh yeah.
Maria
Well,
Vasquez.
it's important to say that Liku ends up marrying Clive Reston, which was
One of his
Shung's
homies.
friend.
So
Yeah.
she's loving the crew.
Yeah. And so he gets a little bit mad and he just tries to go
She
off.
homie hopped. I didn't even
He
put that together.
did.
She homie hopped. But
He
you know
did.
what?
That was
There's
one of
nothing
his best
wrong with homie
friends.
hopping, because sometimes the homie that you're with is the ugliest friend in the group.
Yeah, but not in Shung's case.
Yeah, he's hot.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, after
Clive Reston though is not as good looking as Shang-Chi. So like, even just looking at pictures, and it's a picture, I'm like, that's a drawing. But
yeah,
still, the drawing is fine, and you look average.
I know, she left Shung for him. Whatever. So poor Shung, he's just trying to go and live his little life of solitude again because he's like,
So
fuck these guys. I don't want, because he doesn't like gangs. He's not trying to join any group. So he goes to try to be by himself again, which doesn't work out.
and then joins the Heroes for Hire again, and then he gets with Maria Vasquez, also known as Tarantula. What's funny
Horrible
about
name.
this is that Andrew thought that this, like, before we started reading, Andrew thought this was a human Spider Woman, and I was like, a giant spider.
Because this article that I'm reading, this was like one of the first articles I read, just says that he gets with female tarantula, and I'm sitting here like, what you mean, a female tarantula? Because
Oh my
tarantula.
god, would that make him like a furry but for spiders?
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
And I wonder, like, because there's a Spider-Man that has more like spider-like traits. If you are with that Spider-Man, are you like a spider furry? Does that make you a fighter or a spurry?
I don't like that, but regardless. So he's
anyway, there's more than one tarantula. That's why the article said female tarantula audience.
Yeah. So, she's not a very well-known character, but because she's only in the Heroes for Hire, which I didn't read the recreated Heroes for Hire, but whatever.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure she dies. I didn't really like it, so not in a mean way, like how I hate Court of Owls. It wasn't for me. So I'm pretty sure she dies or something, and Shang-Chi doesn't take it well. So
well, yeah, because it was one of the teammates named Humbug. He betrays her to the enemy, and she gets absolutely tortured and whatever. And Shang-Chi, like you just said, does not take it very well. So he just beats the shit out of Humbug and ends up killing him. And that's when he leaves, and he's like, I gotta focus on myself again. I can't be.
I'm going through some things, y'all.
Like I said, this man's got severe daddy issues. Like, he's not the person you want to be fucking around with. But
and I think
that's basically where we're at with Shang-Chi. Like, after that point, he fights against Nazi Cap, which is one of the worst stories that Marvel has ever written by far. So basically, comic book Shang, though, like, he tries real hard. He's the master of kung fu. He knows kung fu. He's great with all kinds of weapons. I think there's even one point where he can like make clones of himself.
Yes, he gets a power upgrade, which I don't know if we're gonna see that in the movie. Probably not, but probably by like movie 2 or 3. I don't know. Simu is really fine, so I would like to see multiple movies. I plan on going to go see Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah. And so I don't know. I saw the trailer, and he's definitely obviously going to be the master of kung fu. So I'm
And
excited
very
for it.
fine. I
Very
wouldn't care if the
fine.
movie was booty butt cheeks though. So like maybe I'm not a good arbiter of taste in this case, because if the main character is fine, do I care about the quality? No. I went and saw both G.I. Joe movies and I'm finna go see Snake Eyes. So
I loved the G.I. Joe movies. I can't even try to front
no, I
here.
didn't like the second one. They made me mad when they killed off Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayans in like the first 10 minutes. I was like, bitch, do you think this is Chris Brown and Stop the Yard? Y'all ain't finna bait me. I should have got up, left, and asked for my money back after that because I was pissed. Anyway, back on Shang-Chi. After the initial cancellation of Master of Kung Fu, the issues with like the licensing problems with the Sax Rohmer characters, they made it really difficult for Marvel to collect his early adventures in trade paperbacks. Because while the side characters, they're not owned by Disney Marvel. Although the way Disney is going, they're Thanos snapping their way into owning everything. So
that's the Disney way. They learn from Thanos, you know.
I am inevitable.
Oh my God. Can we make that like a meme right there? Because that is not wrong. That is exactly Marvel.
Oh my God. I can't believe we just did that. I'm kind of amazed. Also because it's bad races. Like they can't reprint those early issues because they're dumb racist. And I'm glad
They're
that somebody
so
with
bad.
some sense, which was I looked it up, it's Ed Brubaker. He retconned the Fu Manchu thing into it being an alias and made Shang-Chi's father's real identity Zhang Zhu.
Zhangzhou. Yeah.
Zhang Zhu. An immortal ancient Chinese sorcerer, which still
Which
has a
makes
little tint of racism to it because of the obvious reason. And he's the
it's a
head of
lot
the
better than, you know, Fu
Fu
Manchu,
Manchu.
the only Asian word you can think of. Like that's so bad. But so yeah, it was so racist. Even if you look up just
If you
like
Google Fu Manchu right now, you're gonna see a lot of white men in yellow face in the most egregiously like offensive
horribly
things
racist
you could think of. Yeah,
and
that's
if
what
you
it
even
is.
look up like the 70s like Shang-Chi, just looking at it you can tell that these were made by racist people.
And like what's funny is that some of the things I'm like, I know the person who was making this did not think of themselves as a racist, but this is a racial character.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna say something probably controversial right now, but it's very Gwen Stefani like with her Harajuku girls, you know what I mean? How she came back and she's like, I love Asian people, and that's exactly what they did with the Master of Kung Fu Shang-Chi in the 70s.
I hate that you're right about that.
I'm
Oh
just
my
saying.
God, I hate that you're right about that.
Because she's, you know, Gwen Stefani looks at it and she's like, I'm not racist. I love Asian people. And they did the exact same thing in the 70s.
Thank God for Ed Brubaker, because when he came back, he was just like, he might have been an immortal ancient Chinese sorcerer, but he was also the head of the Five Weapons Society. So he was just like a regular crime boss. I was like, okay, we're on regular crime now. It's like some League of Assassins type shit where they're a secret organization of martial artists and assassins made up of, they have 5 houses, which I think is really cool, each dedicated to one weapon. And I'm not really sure what all of them are because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. There was a 5-part Shang-Chi series that came out like last year, probably in preparation for this movie, and I skimmed it to be ready for this episode. When I tell you I did not read it at all, I didn't. I know that they've got at least the hammer, at least the saber.
I'm pretty sure they have nunchaku, don't they?
I don't know, but I know that they have the hand, and I think the hand is the lead of the thing, of the entire thing, because they're all represented by different people. And in the miniseries, they wanted Shang-Chi to come lead the 5 Weapons Society as Brother Hand,
I
which
do
makes
know that they
sense
made
because he's a hand-to-hand fighter.
right, and I know that they made him an expert, or his dad wanted him to be an expert of all 5 weapons too. Like that's why he's so good with weapons, but he's like a hand-to-hand fighter is his like
primarily. That's his thing.
That's his main choice of weapon is his own hands, which that's fucking badass.
When
Are you
you
kidding
need
me?
them, all you need is them hands. Can't nobody tell you nothing.
Honestly, you can't be my ass though. Like you have a sword, and I still want to fight hand to hand. Like, come on, that's badass.
First of all, if I'm holding a sword or a gun or any kind of weapon, and somebody puts their dukes up and they not scared, I'm scared.
I'm running. I'm not. I'm not.
So the 5 Weapons Society basically is like an evil cult-like criminal organization with the aim of world domination now. But when it was created by Zhang Zhu and his brother Zheng Yi and their disciples, the Deadly Warriors, it was to protect China but now they're taking over the world. What happened to the original plot of the movie? Because I read that and I was like, how do y'all get from point A to point Z? Because
Yeah,
y'all didn't, all them 24 letters in the middle, y'all didn't hit them.
what happened was Zhang Yi died, which kind of sent Zhang Zhu a little bit crazy, you know?
A lot bit
Because
crazy because
he
this
tried to save
man,
his brother by giving him like a potion that was supposed to save him, and his brother's like, "No, I'm not taking it." So he takes it, which is partially why he can live so long. It's crazy.
yeah, it's the elixir of immortality, I believe. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, as of I think actually the miniseries came out in 2021. So I have to look that up later. That'll be in the notes. But now Shang-Chi is the head of the Five Weapon Society, and they're serving, the good of mankind. And he has siblings, and most of them are members of the Five Weapon Society. Like he has his full sister, Shihua, his brother Takashi, and Esme, his sister. He just meets them last two, but he had been looking for his sister for like a long time. He also has another sister, Bao Yu, and she got renamed from being one of the Sax Romer characters. I think her name was Follow Sweet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Follow
and
Sweet.
and he had a brother named Moving Shadow, which was his father's attempt to make a conscienceless, not conscienceless, like he's in a coma or something. I mean, like he has no conscience.
Morals.
Yeah. Version of Shang-Chi. He dead as hell. Like,
honestly, though, Moving Shadow is kind of a badass name. Like, if someone came
yeah,
at me and was like, "My name's Moving Shadow," I'm like,
I'd
"You
be like,
win." I'm not.
oh,
I'm
yeah, I'm
not
not
coming with
fighting
that
somebody
one.
named Moving Shadow.
That's too much, especially if it's Shang-Chi, but with no morals. You know what I mean? No consciousness.
But you know what he ain't got? No hands to beat Shang-Chi with, because Shang-Chi I promise you, he beat the brakes off him. And
He
then,
kills him, doesn't he?
no, he doesn't kill him. The dad kills him. He's like, you couldn't defeat my other son. You got to go. And I don't know if Moving Shadow was like actually like birthed, or if he's like a clone of Shang-Chi. I don't remember.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember.
Zheng
But
Zhu was like a horribly powerful sorcerer in this, so I imagine he probably just did some magic shit.
like in previous MCU projects, slight changes have been made to Shang-Chi's origin story for this upcoming movie that we are getting ready to talk about. It was rumored for a while and then confirmed in the first trailer for the upcoming movie that he was going to appear as the son of the Mandarin. The Mandarin is one of my favorite Marvel villains and an evil master of the 10 Makluan rings. Andrew, did you ever watch Iron Man Armored Adventures?
Yes, I did.
Like the animated show.
Yeah,
I was
I had to think about it.
obsessed with it. And when I heard that this movie was called Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings, I immediately knew, who has 10 rings? The Mandarin.
Yeah, we've talked about this because we saw like the poster where the rings are around his wrist or like his forearm rather.
Well, I
and
saw
we're
the
like,
one where they're around him like Sonic rings first. And I counted. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rings now.
Yeah, then we thought about it. Then we were like, but the Mandarin wears them on his hands, so we were
They're
kind
on
of
his
sitting
fingers,
there like
they're
yeah,
regular rings.
Rings. Yeah. So we sat there for a minute, and we were like, is this going to be the Mandarin again? And I don't remember how we got to it, but we definitely established with each other that it was going to be the Mandarin before it was even confirmed, because that's just how good we are.
I was dumb excited because my favorite, the Mandarin is also a little bit of an Orientalist like character. He's an Iron Man villain. He first appeared in, I think, 1964, which should tell you all you need to know. But like the Mandarin, as he has evolved, as he's depicted in like various like Iron Man Armored Adventures and like just newer comic books, I like people who are just evil, like just straight up. Like he's not evil for any kind of bad or sympathetic reason. He's just evil. Yeah. Or well, actually, no. I should probably explain that he's not really just evil. Although he is just evil. The Mandarin's first appearance was in Tales of Suspense number 50, which is in 1964. He primarily appears as an Iron Man antagonist, which I said. He's really cool. He's one of the world's greatest scientists. He's a proficient martial artist, and he's an all-around athlete. His real name? Unknown.
We don't know.
And do we need to know? No. He's a direct descendant of Genghis Khan, who was born in China to a wealthy father who lost everything in the communist revolution. In the fictional Forbidden Valley of Spirits, the Mandarin found a crashed starship containing the 10 alien power rings from the planet Maklu 4, containing the souls and abilities of fallen Maklawans that corrupted him and put him on the path to conquer the earth and bring them back to life. Now,
Like, what the hell? That is amazing. Like, can you imagine just finding 10 magic rings? Because each one has its own power, you know?
yeah. But what's funny is he didn't just happen upon the rings. There was a survivor of the crash. There was this guy who was an interstellar explorer, and he just happened to be a Maklawan who like begged him, "Don't take the rings," and he took the rings.
Yeah, he's warned him. But honestly, though, if I was in the Mandarin's position, I would have taken the rings too. Like, you can't tell me like these rings have crazy magic powers and expect me not to.
Wait, he didn't even tell him. He just was like, "Don't take these rings," and he was like, "I do what I want anyway." So he just lets this guy die, and he's like, "I'm gonna take the rings," and the rings
and these rings were styling too. I get it.
Exactly, because like 10-finger rings, like a ring you could wear for every finger,
and they look nice. They had jewels on them. Like,
yes, and
he showed up and showed out.
King.
Exactly, I get it. I would have done it.
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying I understand. And then the rings, like each ring has its own power. One of them controls the minds of other people. Another can rearrange matter. One can fire a disintegration beam. One can create a vortex. One produces deadly gas. Another one creates ice blasts. One discharges electricity. One makes flames. One makes bursts of blinding light. And another one makes clouds of darkness.
Right. So if you thought
the coolest thing.
Right. You think Thanos is fucking, what are they called? Does Infinity Stones?
Gauntlet.
You thought that was cool. Like, this man is, first of all, showing up, showing out. These rings look nice, and you're basically like all powerful at that point. Exactly. Who's gonna say anything to you except
Nobody.
Iron Man?
And speaking of Iron Man Armament Adventures, like, so in the comics and in the show, and as we were talking about earlier, the rings appear as regular finger-sized rings, but in the trailer for Shang-Chi, they're worn on the arms, which is, I'm not sure if that was just to visually like differentiate them from Thanos's dumbass glove, or the really cool jewelry that Brie Larson and Scarlett Johansson were wearing at the Infinity War premiere, which was really cool. Or because Maklawans, do you know what a Maklawan is?
Yeah, those were those little aliens, but are essentially just huge dragons.
Big ass dragons. They are big ass lizard people. So I'm wondering if the rings are like Maklawan size, or
like, my thought would have been like they just wanted us to just to throw us off from the Mandarin, but then like the first trailer told us it was about the Mandarin, so I really don't know.
Here's the thing, you know what my real theory is?
Oh God, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but
it's that Simu Liu is so damn fine, and they wanted us to see those big rings around his muscular arms, and they wanted us to think thoughts about stuff.
What stuff, Christian? What stuff?
Children listen to this podcast. Anyway.
See, I knew that's where it was going. I knew this is where it was going.
Anyway, the Mandarin was teased in Iron Man 3, and again in the Marvel short All Hail the King that I just watched last night with Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, who is not Asian. He's a washed up, strung out actor who played an imposter Mandarin and then claimed to represent the 10 Rings terrorist group, which I figure is analogous towards, like, you know, the Mandarin's evil organization, and now the 5 Weapon Society when combined with Shang-Chi's father. That was the biggest disappointment of my young life, because everybody who's ever had a conversation with me knows that I'm not the biggest fan of the Iron Man movies, even though I like the way that they're made. I just don't enjoy the plots. But Iron Man 3 is the greatest disappointment of my young life, because I heard that the Mandarin was in it. When I tell you, I was salivating. I was ready to get in that theater, baby. And when I did not see no Mandarin, and I don't watch movie trailers and I've never been into them, so I was like, what happened to the original plot of the movie?
Yeah, because that Mandarin was I don't even want to say loosely based off of the comic book version, because it wasn't. It was like completely different.
Have you ever seen the movie Galaxy Quest? And this is related.
No.
Okay, so in Galaxy Quest, Tony Shalhoub, who plays like Mr. Monk on Monk and Mr. Minion in Spy Kids, and I don't know, he's just in a lot of things. You've definitely seen him somewhere before. He plays this guy named Fred Kwan, who's like an actor, and he's probably like a pothead or something. And they since the show was like made in like the 80s or whatever, he said, like, obviously I'm not gonna play like an Asian character, like that's wrong. But he's playing the guy who's supposed to be the Asian guy, and that's exactly how the Mandarin was played in Iron Man 3. It was vaguely
Yeah.
Orientalist. It was like I was a kid then, and I was like, this is inappropriate, but I don't really know why.
And I think if they would have put the real Mandarin in the MCU that early, like he is too powerful of a character to be that early, you know what I mean?
It's like what they're doing now with Kang, even though I personally don't want to see Kang in the MCU, even though I really like Jonathan Majors' portrayal so far. And I'm really excited to see anything that could come out of Kang. It was a thing. I don't believe that the Avengers, they don't have enough stuff behind them to
Yeah.
make me believe that they could defeat Kang. And honestly, in no way do I think that Iron Man from the MCU is touching the Mandarin. Like literally, I
Honestly,
don't think you could put your hands on him.
especially in Iron Man 3, whenever he was still trying to figure out how to be Iron Man, like he could not even step a toe
Do
to
you
this
think you have the
Mandarin.
mental discipline
No.
to you want to bumble with the bee, huh?
Like we just said, these rings have insane power. Like you can't this guy in his
And
little
there's 10 of
robot
them.
suit.
He wears them all at the same time. At one point they were fused to his hands, and then he
Yeah.
died. And then when he came back, they were fused to his spine. This
Isn't that
man is
insane?
beyond hardcore. And when I saw him, the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3, obviously it's supposed to be a lie. Like I don't remember what the plot was. One of Iron Man's other enemies, like they had the Mandarin thing going as a fake out. But I watched that All Hail to the King short that I had seen teased before. They tease you just the tiniest bit where this man, he's like interviewing him in jail, and he like is like, so you don't know that the Mandarin and the 10 rings are real. He's like, what? Oh my God, that's so crazy. This guy pulls out a gun, kills everybody in the room, and it's like, I'm taking you to the Mandarin. I was like, what? And I was just like, so this happened a few years ago. So they teased me again about the Mandarin. And I hear that Ben Kingsley is going to be making an appearance in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So I feel like we're probably about to see like his decapitated head or something.
Yeah, because that was the one that played the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3, so he's gonna
Yes.
make his appearance in the Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. But that also makes me think, and I guess we'll get more into it whenever we start talking about the MCU version or the
Oh, we're
actual
in it,
movie
baby.
coming
We're
out.
in the end game now.
But it
Not
makes me
me
think
making
like,
two Infinity War references in
yeah,
one.
I was actually kind of impressed. Like I didn't think you could do that. But I don't know what they're gonna like. What are the rings gonna have the 10 powers though, or do they just kind of like boost Shang-Chi's
That's one
powers?
of my biggest like concerns. I want to talk about that a little bit more towards the end, because
Right.
I still want to say that I also believe that in the same way that the MCU's Wenwu, which is an amalgamation of Shang-Chi's father and the comics Mandarin, is like a separate, like the same character but combined together and separate. I think that the MCU version of Shang-Chi is probably a combination of Shang-Chi himself and the Mandarin's canonical son, Temujin. But Temujin is
Oh,
evil. Like at one point he was the leader of he was the master of the Ten Rings, and he was, the leader of the terrorist group.
yeah.
But Temujin is a martial artist who harnesses his chi to perform feats of incredible strength, speed, and agility. And I just I feel like if they're gonna combine the characters, this is what they're doing. Like they did in Guardians of the Galaxy, how they made like Nebula is like a space pirate or whatever, but she is the one that kills Thanos. Like she's the one who takes the infinity.
Hmm.
Let me get off my soapbox. I've been on it all week. But so they made Nebula like actually part under Thanos's like umbrella. She's part of the regime. And what they did in Black Panther, where they made Njobu take the place of T'Chaka's actual brother Sion, who is like the Black Panther. I guess a lot of people who never read the comics don't know that King T'Chaka does not ever make it to be old. Like he dies when he's probably like 30,
Right.
and T'Challa's a young man. I mean, Sion is the Black Panther for years and years, and they made Killmonger his cousin, which was really interesting. I was really deeply surprised when I went and saw the movie, just because having been a comic book reader for years and years, I went into it thinking, I got this. I got the game sewn up. I know what's happening. I feel like Shang-Chi is about to pull something really, really
Yeah.
cool out.
I think Marvel does that though because people who do read the comics, they go in expecting to know exactly what's going to happen. I think Disney/Marvel wants to mix it up so people will keep coming, which I think is exactly what they're going to do with Shang-Chi. I don't know if he'll be a combination of Temujin or what, but I don't think he's going to be exactly like the Shang-Chi in the comic books. I don't think he will be.
I feel like because of the Mandarin's influences, I feel like they have to add something different to the character, something just a tiny bit different to the character, because clearly, like as an adult man, we see in the trailer that he's living life. Like I think he works at he's like valet car parking.
Mm-hmm.
He's going out to karaoke. He has a friend. Like he's living life in a way that Shang-Chi is not able to in the comics. And his dad is like, okay, I gave you 10 years of living your life. It's time to come back. And I'm like,
yeah, and the Mandarin's super powerful, super rich too. So like he could be like the Playboy son.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Because Tony Leung, I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope I said it right. Sir.
I like that they didn't get like a really old guy to play the Mandarin too, because the Mandarin can live for. Does he live forever?
He could probably. Right? I don't know.
I don't know. Either way,
I felt like that was another one of my complaints with Iron Man 3. No offense to Ben Kingsley. I like Ben Kingsley. He's a good actor. But I wanted them to cast a zaddy as the Mandarin, like what they did with Black Manta in Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
If villain bad, why sexy? I feel like if you are going to be an
bad, why sexy?
Yes, like Hayden Christensen in I really forgot the name Star Wars, and I tell you about Anakin Skywalker every 2 minutes. Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger, Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Black Manta. If villain bad, why sexy? We need to have some kind of moral ambiguity where we're like, I slowly started to become seducted by him. Like, you need to be able to understand the allure of the dark side.
That it's like, what you're doing is not right, but I support it. I see where you're coming from.
Do I support it? I'm troubled. I'm concerned.
It's like, I get it. I get why you have followers too. Like, I get it.
Exactly. Like, I will follow you, not maybe into terrorism, but at least on Instagram. Okay, and now that we're sufficiently caught up on our bullshit and caught up to the MCU canon as displayed in the trailer, you have any predictions?
I think it's going to be, I mean, this part's kind of obvious that it's going to be his father's evil and that he wants to take down his father. I think that part's very, very obvious, right?
Oh, wow.
But, I don't know. I hope that they have Clive Reston and Tar in here,
Probably
I don't know
not.
if he'll join, like, I think that they will. I don't think it's going to be MI6, though. I don't think it's going to have any British operatives in here. But I do think that they'll bring those characters in somehow, because those are, like, honestly, some of his only friends.
I feel like if they go any way, they're going to have to, like, because I feel like Marvel wants to, even though Shang-Chi, like, his origins and stuff are, like, spin-offs of other characters, I feel like they do a lot now to establish that he is, like, an independent character. And I feel like because those characters are from something rooted in racism, I don't think they can use them. So I think you might want to just give up. You might want to start looking into his heroes for hire frame.
Oh, they're definitely not going to bring any heroes for hire, or if they do, it'll be just like a little Easter egg. They might have Lee Ku-woo in there. I could see that, but I think she would be more powerful than just like a regular operative. I think they'll give her like some kind of something, to help. Yeah, maybe just like a really good martial art fighter, probably.
But no, I'm going for superpowers. Do you have any more predictions? Because mine are all really weird.
Probably. I want to hear what you have to say, and I might just piggyback off of it.
Okay, so Michelle Yeoh is one of my favorite actresses. She is excellent.
I forgot she was in this. Oh, yeah.
They show her in the trailer, and a lot of people have been theorizing that she's his mom, which, I mean, would be kind of cool because as this is like the first Asian-led Marvel movie, as this is like the first Asian-led MCU movie, I think it would make sense for them to show somebody who is monoracial. So and they did show his mom, and she was Asian, but I don't think it's Michelle Yeoh. I think Michelle Yeoh is. I think they're gonna go the Annette Bening route. Like, that was Annette Bening in Captain Marvel, right?
I can't remember.
Let's just say that it was. And I'm gonna put it in the notes if it wasn't. But Annette Bening played Marvel. And as everybody knows in the comic books, like, Marvel is like a guy. He's a Kree guy. But it was Annette Bening in the movies, and I was like, oh my god, it's Annette Bening. Like, I was really excited to see her, so I really hope it was Annette Bening. Because if it wasn't Annette Bening in that movie, it was the movie that I saw right after Captain Marvel, because I went and saw both movies with my mom, and I know one of them had Annette Bening in it. So I feel like that's probably going to be Michelle Yeoh. But like one of the they showed a dragon in the trailer, and
Right.
I know that in the comic books there is a great dragon protector of China, and that person, well, it's a Makluan, or they imply that it's a Makluan dragon or whatever, and the Makluans can shape shift. So it would be interesting if Michelle Yeoh was the protector of China and a Makluan.
Oh, I like the way you went with that. I think that would be really interesting. That would be insane. I do think Michelle Yeoh is going to be somebody
Now she's
insanely
gonna eat.
powerful. Yeah,
First of
well,
all,
she
it's
always
Michelle
does.
Yeoh. Like that's what she does.
But I think she's going to be somebody, I don't think she's going to be his mom. I think she'll be somebody really powerful who probably helps him along the way somehow, some way, some form. I don't know. So that would make sense if it was a Makluan. I just didn't think
Especially
about that.
because, or she could be the explorer who was who like the Mandarin just let die and was like, I'm gonna take these rings.
Do you think they'll give the Mandarin any background like that, or do you think they'll just kind of show up and
First of
he's like, "All
all,
right, I'm really powerful."
the Mandarin really does, like, I would like to see a little flashback of him finding the rings. I would also like to see the Mandarin as an immortal sorcerer. Like, I think it'd be cool to show him in some old timey clothes, like, you know, finding the rings, being hot, young, and sexy. I'm with it.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that. I
but I
hope that they
don't think they're
do.
gonna show the 10 rings having 10 separate powers. I think they're just gonna make you super strong in the MCU.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree with you on that. Because if they did that, he would be more powerful than Thanos, and you know how they already made Thanos the most powerful. Like, I don't think they would do that.
Was he the most powerful before Kang though? Hashtag Black Boy Joy.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry, I had to inject a little bit of my foolishness.
I do. I hope that they do make him very the Mandarin. I hope that they make the Mandarin kind of powerful sorcerer like Zheng Zhu. I really hope that they do that, just because I think that part is really interesting. I don't want him to be just the Mandarin who has rings, you know.
And I would really like to see, like, I don't know, I like a little bit of a period piece. And I feel like actors who are already sexy, when you put them in old timey clothes, they look even better.
So you just want it to be a little bit
Yes.
thirsty. That's what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you see him in the trailer wearing all them suits. Mm.
Oh, I know.
See,
I know.
I know what I want to see out of a movie. I have a thoughts, I have a purpose, I have goals. And I guess that's all for this week's episode of True Believers.
We would also like to express our excitement and support for the upcoming movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings as the first Asian-led American superhero movie. So congratulations to the cast and the crew, the director, and Simu Liu, who is carrying the entire promotion of the movie on his back. Because if you have seen him out here in these promotional interviews, man, he is doing
It's not just
great.
the promotional interviews, it's the TikTok, it's the Instagram. Him and Big
Yes,
Nasty, like,
they
and
are.
Michelle Yeoh. I have seen them back to back to back.
He's all over Twitter, everything. He is
And
promoting this
Marvel
movie crazy.
is not promoting this movie at all. They have promoted What If Captain Carter more than literally anything else. They didn't even promote What If, like what if T'Challa became Star-Lord, like they promoted Captain
Mhm.
Carter. And
And
Chadwick Boseman literally passed away, and I think this might be his last role ever.
and they're literally promoting the Eternals, which doesn't come out till November, more than they've been promoting this movie. So you know what? I pray this movie does very well. I think it will. I don't think there's any question about it. But I'm excited for this movie, and congratulations to everybody in it and who's
Yes.
been a part of it.
And congratulations to us. From you guys, I guess. Thank you for all your support. We're going to see you next Wednesday, the 8th, where we'll be doing a mid-season review of Disney Plus's latest project, Marvel's What If. Ironic after I just talked all that shit about it. We're available on all major streaming platforms except for Pandora. And if you like the show, please leave us a review and continue sharing with your friends. We really appreciate it. And as always, if you want to leave a suggestion on what we read or watch, you can find and DM us on Instagram at TrueBelieversPod and on Twitter at TrueBelieversP, or you can even email us at onetruebelieverspod@gmail.com. If you have any hate comments, direct them right to Andrew.
I'll take it. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.